Here we go again, YouTubers. Again, I didn't choose to get up at this particular hour. In any case, in fact, I have always wanted to make a video about various aspects of our lives that kind of share a bit of parallels with the Bible, and there are so far as I can tell, the Bible has an amazing amount of features and underlying philosophical essence that either directly demonstrate or implicitly or tacitly insinuate that the world we live in has has been under the dominance of dualism, which means there are two universal constants or forces, so far as I can reckon, that governs this world, maybe also this universe, since I haven't been to anywhere beyond this planet we call Earth. I can't just I can't just say for certain that the universe also has some sort of dualistic mechanisms that bear resemblance to planet Earth, or any other constant or principle that may or may not also work on planet Earth. That's the part where I have utterly no idea about. So I'm just giving you my you guys my very own opinion based on those facts. And since I tried very hard to fall back to a state of hibernation again, it still failed miserably. And besides, I have multiple areas of discomfort and probably also illness on my own flesh, and I guess my time is beginning to run pretty short, which means I may not have another opportunity to talk to you guys about what I think about what I've so far experienced. I know it may or may not matter, though so far, at least to me, it matters to me that I make a video and then try to try to find out a bit of a clue on why why certain things they occur and they happen, why certain things that you will never see them occur or happen. I'm sure you guys have heard of a saying, there's always two sides of the same coin. And on the other hand, you may also have heard there's always two sides of the same story. Yes, I think that kind of these two sayings kind of inspire me to try and stretch my extreme length to get to the bottom of how what exactly dualism represents, and what exactly dualism means, and why God as a mono as an allegedly Christian, why do I think dualism matters to God, as God being being someone absolute, someone, you know, monotheistic or something. Sorry, I just don't quite recall how to pronounce that terminology. But yeah, as for mind and body dualism, yeah, you guys might also have heard of such term. So yes, I can absolutely relate to it. I also believe, you know, a human individual, an ordinary functioning human individual has two fundamental parts or components. One of them being, you know, the flesh or the body, yeah, yeah, and the other one, the spiritual component or the soul, yeah. Well, sorry, I still find it very difficult to discern, you know, from what's being spiritual from, you know, from the soul part. So I'm just gonna use these two terms here interchangeably, yeah, just to kind of you know, simplify this video, you know, yeah, you know, for the sake of you know, simplistic beauty or something, yeah. So I like you guys to sorry, to turn, you know, to get a Bible and you know, turn to the Bible, yeah, at the very beginning, at the book of Genesis. The book of Genesis actually says, yeah, right from the beginning, yeah. Well, yeah. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Heavens and the earth, right? Two beings, two entities. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. Light and darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. So, day and night, though being highly and you know, distinctively two separate beings, yet they coexist, you know, flawlessly to, you know, to form, you know, time. You know, we, or at least they have become the most fundamental constituents of space and time. So we need, you know, we need space to exist, and we also need time to exist. Which means, you know, our very own existence depends on the the dualistic mechanisms and principles that God has ordained there. And you know, that's, yeah, the book of Genesis chapter 1 verses 1 and 2 3, sorry, verses, the book of Genesis chapter 1 verses 1 and 2, 5. Yeah, so what else? Yeah, so if you then happen to you know, you happen to want to proceed further across the Bible, so I like you to to switch your attention to the book of Genesis chapter still chapter 1, sorry, not chapter 1, chapter 2, yeah, where God created men and women, yeah, created a man and a woman, Adam and Eve, yeah. So that has to be another living example of dualism, you know, which also kind of tacitly suggests that there's always two sides of the same story. Even if being one and the same story, it can still have two sides. One side can you might make you consider such story has a happy ending. The other one, being the dark side, might at least more often than not can often get you utterly convinced that such story has a bitter and tragic ending. A tragic and bitter final outcome of some sort. So I then want you guys to turn to the gospel books. Sorry, that's the one of the most books of the Bible I can think of so far that has the most direct evidences, which either insinuate or that demonstrate that we live in a universe of dualism, and those pastors, the churches, and despite what those pastors, the mainstream Christianity tends to tell you or educate you on how powerfully monotheistic God is, or how sorry, just trying to gather the clues there. Excuse me. Sorry about my sorry for being prepared for this video. Wow. Well, like I said, I did not plan to make this video quite carefully, and in short, long story short, I did not plan for such a long duration of time before I make this video. I just made this video out of a kind of a curiosity to see how far I can go, and how specifically I can I can perform some sort of cross-referencing between or from book to another within the Bible, and ultimately to make my points there to you guys that dualism exists, and it's omnipotence. It exists, and it functions a lot more a lot more universally, a lot more powerfully than than both you and me can care to fathom. So so far as I can recall, there's another one somewhere between Jesus, where is it? It's called, I think it's a parable of the Gospel of Matthew. the parable between Lazarus and the rich man or something. Yes, but I'm just having a bit of a trouble finding them. So please excuse me for a while. And let's see if I can find it. Oh Jesus, where's the parable? Great Tribulation, Parable of Talents, maybe it's easier for me to find such parable in the Gospel of Luke instead. Sorry for being clumsy. Yeah. I know. I was kind of born clumsy, So yeah, I just don't memorize so well. Yeah, where is it? It's so hard for me to find it without having to Google it. Yeah, is it? Abraham, yeah, I know it's chasm, yeah. I can recall the key word there that separates two realms of Hades. One part of Hades is the paradise. The other ones, some versions of the Bible refer it to as Tartarus or simply a place of torment. The King James just simply translated, translate such place of torment as hell, and that can get you quite confused. So that's why I am not currently, flipping over the KJV Bible, but instead it's the new KJV. Yeah, it's new NKJV. Yeah. So where is it? Shit. You can't find it, man. Maybe it's somewhere. Oh my God. Where's it? Parable, dragons. Marriage and divorce. Yeah, marriage and divorce. I can reckon it's also some sort of evidence that demonstrates the significance of dualism. So you see, we have convergence and separation to manifest as marriage and divorce. So once you join, so not you, but once God joins a female and a male together, that's what we call marriage, and also technically speaking, such couple will need to acquire a certificate issued by the authorities, by the governing body of the state. Yeah, so that makes that doing so makes it a marriage. And the same applies to getting divorced. Yeah, you will also need a certificate of divorce. So where is that parable, man? It's rich ruler. It's lawful to pay taxes to Caesar. Pharisees laments over Jerusalem. Oh shit. Still can't find it, man. Where is it? Where is it? Why every time I try to find some something specific from the Bible, it takes me such a great deal of time. Why? Drip of water in it. I can also recall it has keywords like a drip, the tip of water. Abraham. Jesus gives true rest. Sending out the 12. Lazarus. Yeah, so if I can find Lazarus, then I should be able to find such parable as well. But the problem is I'm trying to get. Yeah, maybe I will try and see if I can find it on my on my Japanese Bible. Yeah, so my Japanese Bible, it has it has some sort of an index that contains more detailed course referencing. So in Japanese it's called Matai ni Yoru Fukuonsho. So where is it? Yomi. It's not Yomi. It's called Paradise. Oh my god, where is it? Sugar. Yomu tame no guide. Yes no tatoe. Yeah, parables. Since I didn't actually anticipate that this video could take me so long, I initially anticipated this particular video should just last for like, excuse me, for 25 or 30 minutes. Oh, shoot. Yeah, oh shit, I found it. Luke chapter 16. Luke chapter 16 verses 19 through 31, yeah. There was a certain rich man who was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day, but there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, full of sores, who was laid at his gate, desiring to be fed with crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dog came and licked his sources. So it was the beggar died and was carried by the angels to Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. And being in torments in Hades, he lifted his eyes and saw Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. Then he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and you are tormented. And beside all this, between us and you, there's a great gulf fixed, so that who want to pass from here to you cannot, nor can those from those pass to us. So notice the word there called, what is it called? Yeah, and besides all this, between us and you there is a great gulf fixed. Some versions of the Bible actually use fissure or chasm. Yeah, the one I can recall used from New Living Translation, which I used to read as my my most primary versions of the Bible. I used to value New Living Translations quite tremendously, but I don't think it has such how should I put it, such classic flavor, classic flavor to keep me sated. It's well, but I still have them. I still have two copies of New Living Translations back at my grandma's residence. But we shall get back to that. So let's try and find such passages in the book of Luke. On this Japanese Bible. 金持ちとラザロ. Yeah, it's called. The rich man and Lazarus. In Japanese, it's called Lazaro. Yeah. ある金持ちがいた。いつも紫の衣や柔らかい麻布着て毎日贅沢に遊び暮らしていた。この金持ちの門前にラザロという出来物だらけの貧しい人が横たわり、その食卓が落ちるもので腹を満たしたいものだと思っていた。犬もやってきてはその出来物を舐めた。やがてこの貧しい人は死んで天使たちによって縁石にいるアビラハムのすぐそばに連れて行かれた。金持ちも死んでる。葬られた。そして金持ちは読みて苛まれたながら目を開けると、縁石でアブラハムとそのすぐそばにいるラザロとか、はるか彼方に見えた。そこで大声で言った。父、 アベラハムよ、私を憐れんでください。ラザロをよこして、指先を水に浸し、私の舌を冷やさせてください。私はこの炎の中でもだえ苦しんでいます。しかし、アベラハンは言った。こうよ、思い出してみるがよい。お前は生きている間に良いものをもらっていたか。ラザロは反対に悪いものをもらっていた。今はここで彼を慰められ、お前はもだえ苦しむのだ。そればかりか。私たちとお前たちの間に大きな淵があって、ここからお前たちの方へ渡ろうとしてもできないし、そこから私たちの方に越えてくることもできない。Yeah, so in Japanese Bible, what's it called? It's Fuchi. It's it. Can you see it? Fuchi. Yeah, anyway, I'll give you guys the kanji character later. I shall attach it. Yeah, directly onto this video. So, mind-body dualism. There's also, flesh and blood, between flesh and blood and spirit. Since somewhere on the second, is it first or the second epistle of Corinthians said flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, which means we must, our flesh and blood must first start to decay, second turn to nothing but dust. Speaking of dust, God made us, in His image, but from dust, thus bearing, two radically opposite characters. One being, the highest character of the entire universe, which means, to have similarities or resemblances to God, and the other one, the lowest quality, is that we, God made us, formed us from dust, from soil, and then, from the dust we are made, to the dust we shall return. Again, it's on the book of Genesis. Or is it in the book of Genesis? Yeah, it's in the book of Genesis. Where is it? Yeah, the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 19. In sweat your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you shall return. Yeah. So what do you guys think? There's another um, phenomenon I can recall. I once thought that my exile, my homelessness, occurred due to the purely due to the fact that my allegedly biological mother never ceases to persecute me and abuses me, which in turn caused me to have some sort of mental illness, which in turn made me a dude with severe intrusive murderous thoughts and suicidal thoughts. So in order to keep both me and my grandma safe, I just had to depart. I feel that such intrusive thoughts have overwhelmed me. It have overwhelmed me so intensely, so miserably. I found it so difficult to resist and cope with. And then here I am. However, excuse me, as far as I can also reckon, there are always two sides of the same coin, two sides of the same story. The others, I suppose I am beginning to see the other side of the story is my grandma. She may not just care about me at all, since I don't see any other any other evidence to prove that she still cares about me. I have kept my cell phone switched on and off intermittently. I kind of deliberately selected different intervals during the day and night, both during the day and night, to keep my cell phone switched on intermittently, so I could receive a call back from my grandma or from any other relatives, yes, such as my my uncles, my aunties, cousins, what yeah, blah blah blah, yeah. Still no news from them, and I still, I